Thank you. Congratulations again, graduates. Matthew Herter is the director of the Health Law Institute, associate professor in the faculties of medicine and law, and was named a member of the Royal Society of Canada's College of New Scholars in 2019. Professor Herter has made extensive contributions to the field of pharmaceutical policy. In particular, his scholarly research has shown that information about pharmaceutical drugs is often kept secret as a matter of practice rather than the law. Through his interdisciplinary research and policy advocacy, Professor Herter has called upon health professionals, researchers, and others to push for fundamental changes in the pharmaceutical regulatory system. He has been named Canada's Harkness Associate in Healthcare Policy and Practice by Commonwealth Fund, and was recently appointed by the Federal Cabinet to serve as a member of the Patented Medicine Prices Review Board, Canada's national drug price regulator, illustrating Professor Herter's commitment, translating research and scholarship into public service for the public good. It is with great pleasure that I invite Matthew Herter to address Convocation.
Thank you for that kind introduction. And congratulations. Congratulations to you, the graduates of the faculties of law, medicine, health, engineering, and graduate studies. This is your day. That's probably not the first or the last time you'll hear that today. And it is your day. But even so, I want to encourage you to think about it as our day. It's you together with your classmates. It's you together with your friends and family, but it's also you together with others in society, others with whom you will be in common cause. For the problems of today are magnificent in scope, breathtaking in their complexity, terrifying in their magnitude. They demand collective action, but that sort of action is incredibly hard to sustain. People splinter, interests differ, inequality divides. So we need to get better at making common cause with one another, and that challenge will increasingly fall to you, your fellow graduates, your generation. Let me explain more what I mean by finding common cause through 3 examples that are in the midst of unfolding right now. The first is international, the second national, and the third local. Let me start with the international example. It may be a Tuesday, but the next Fridays for Future is 3 short days away. Hundreds of thousands, millions of people even, have participated in climate strike marches and demonstrations around the world in recent weeks. We have all been witness to the emergence of a powerful leader in this common cause, Greta Thunberg. But while much of her power resides in her words and deeds, I would say that even more power lies in those that follow her, defending her against the trolls, making signs, and showing up in masses, all in an effort to hold our political leaders to account for their inaction against climate change. The point I want to make is that universities love to talk about creating leaders, and leaders are critical. We see that in Greta. We also see it in Autumn Pelletier, an internationally recognized Indigenous advocate for clean water. But common cause underscores the need for the many, not just leaders. What we need is to continue to show support for the cause, to find new, peaceful, and effective ways to intervene, exhibiting a kind of fundamental restlessness unless and until real action against climate change actually begins. Example number 2. This one is more national in its focus, from our neighbors to the south, specifically the impeachment of the 45th President of the United States. Many are hailing the decision of the Speaker of the U.S. House of Representatives, Nancy Pelosi, a Democrat from California, to commence impeachment proceedings against this man. But pay close attention to who is getting credit for this heavily anticipated turn of events. You might have seen their op-ed in the Washington Post or the headlines that followed. 2 Saturdays ago, CNN ran a feature story. The headline read, "These 5 freshman congresswomen changed history by becoming unlikely leaders on impeachment." Eliza Slotkin from Michigan, Abigail Spanberger from Virginia, Chrissy Houlihan from Pennsylvania, Mickey Sherrill of New Jersey, Elaine Luria from Virginia. 5 white women. All former national security folks, 2 from the CIA, 1 from the Air Force, and 2 from the Navy. All new to Congress, but credited as a key driving force behind impeachment. What's missing from this story? Yes, these white women played an important role, but they are not alone, much less did they lead the way here. Maxine Waters, a Black Democrat from California, has been calling for impeachment since early 2017. 4 young racialized congresswomen have also long supported impeachment and have been some of the president's most consistent critics on matters of policy and human rights. Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez, the AOC, a Democrat from New York, Ilhan Omar from Minnesota, Ayanna Pressley of Massachusetts, Rashida Tlaib of Michigan. When articles of impeachment were formally filed, nowhere were these women identified except in passing, or worse, negatively referenced in questions like this. Did those members of your party undermine the seriousness with which you and your other colleagues want to proceed? A question posed by a CNN host to one of the 5 white women being heralded for kickstarting impeachment. It's not that Eliza, Abigail, Chrissy, Mickey, and Elaine shouldn't be recognized. It's that they have built upon and drawn support from others who have come before them and said critically important things in the face of far greater opposition and overt racism. Finding common cause is not just about working together or following a leader. It also requires that we do not render invisible the work of others, particularly others who have, as a result of injustice, as a result of structural racism, as a result of class difference, endured marginalization in a way that those amongst us who are more privileged cannot even understand. Finding common cause also means lifting up, surfacing, crediting rather than taking the work of others, having at bottom a sense of humility about our own contributions to that larger cause, that longer body of work. My third and final example is found right here, 5 minutes away on Gottingen Street, where 3 weeks ago today, the first overdose prevention site, or OPS, in Atlantic Canada opened its doors. The site aims to provide a safer and non-stigmatizing space for people who use drugs to use drugs. In company with peers, those who frequent the OPS are afforded relative privacy, access to clean needles and other supplies, including test strips to detect the presence or absence of fentanyl. In the event that something goes wrong, they also have in-house access to naloxone and responsive medical care. The research literature is clear. OPS sites work. They improve safety both for the people who use drugs and for the surrounding community. Research isn't always persuasive, however. Earlier in the spring, before the OPS opened, a public meeting was held at the North End Public Library about the OPS. It was divisive. Business owners were there articulating concerns about the adverse potential impact of the OPS on the gentrifying neighborhood. A much deeper concern, however, was raised by several members of the Black community in attendance. Where was the urgency? Where was the public health response to what was going on in and around Gottingen Street in the 1980s and the 1990s, when crack cocaine wrought tragic consequences for many in the African Nova Scotian community? Why now? Why here? No one had an answer for those questions. Those advocating for the OPS pressed on because people are dying. Earlier during the day of the meeting at that North End Library, many had attended a funeral of someone who had overdosed alone. But the meeting also spurred reflection, and the group renewed its efforts to invite members of the Black community and others resistant to the OPS inside the facility to hear their concerns, demystify exactly what would be involved in the provision of OPS services, and make space for them to participate through a community advisory committee. This too reveals something important about common cause. To make common cause necessarily requires leaving oneself open to criticism, to granting weight to someone else's pain, even altering your course as you pursue work that you believe to be in the service of public good. Finding common cause doesn't simply mean having one meeting or one consultation and then proceeding as you had planned all along. Instead, it requires openness, generosity for the perspective of others, and then real sustained work to make space for, hear dissent, and revise your actions accordingly. So to the graduating classes of law, medicine, health, engineering, and graduate studies, I say again, this is your day, and I invite you to make it also our day, to join together, join others, join your professions, join institutions, join communities in common cause. For we need no more reasons. Climate change, demagoguery destroying democracy, the social determinants of health, class, poverty, structural racism. But being in common cause requires more than merely banding together. It requires that you collaborate with a sense of humility, that you recognize the contributions of others, and that you act with a reflexivity for those with different perspectives and experiences in an effort to sustain a shared interest in positive change for our world. Thank you.